What would you do if a simple mistake turned into a royal scandal? One tourist found out the hard way when a harmless stumble at Buckingham Palace unleashed a chain of shocking events. From a fierce confrontation with the King's Guard to a moment that could have ended in tragedy. This story will leave you speechless. Stay with me to uncover how one misstep became a viral lesson in respect, redemption, and the power of second chances. Trust me, you won't believe how it all ends. Before we jump into this unbelievable story, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping tales that you won't want to miss. The scene is alive with energy. Tourists swarm the gates of Buckingham Palace, their voices blending into a symphony of excitement and chatter. Flags flutter in the light breeze as cameras click, capturing the grandeur of the moment. The iconic royal guards, immovable and stoic, stand as timeless symbols of tradition. Eric Morgan, a lively tourist from the United States, walks into the frame, his backpack slung casually over one shoulder. A camera in his hand, he narrates with enthusiasm, "Here we are at Buckingham Palace. The guards are as still as statues. Let's see how close I can get for the perfect shot." His confidence radiates, his love for adventure evident in his every word. As he moves closer, his attention is drawn to a sign nearby. Bold letters warn, "Do not approach guards or horses. Keep a safe distance." Eric chuckles under his breath. "Come on," he mutters to himself. "How dangerous can it really be?" A few steps away, a young child tugs at her mother's sleeve, pointing toward the mounted guards. "Why can't we go closer, Mommy?" The mother kneels, her tone firm but gentle. "Those horses aren't pets, sweetie. They're here to protect the royal family. If we get too close, it could scare them, and that's dangerous for everyone." Eric listens briefly, raising an eyebrow. His adventurous spirit nudges him forward. He lifts his camera and zooms in on a mounted guard. The horse, majestic and imposing, shifts slightly, its reins held tight. Eric mutters to his camera, "Now this is the shot I've been waiting for." The crowd around him moves with curiosity and awe, each person intent on capturing their own piece of this iconic setting. Eric, however, has one goal: to get closer than anyone else. As the guards remain stoic, he smirks. "This is going to be good," he says, stepping past the warning line. Eric inches closer to the line marked on the ground, the invisible boundary between tourists and the guards. His camera is steady in his hand, and his excitement is palpable. A tourist beside him mutters, "I wouldn't do that if I were you," but Eric barely glances at him. Instead, he focuses on his vlog, speaking with a grin. "All right, folks, we're getting up close and personal here. Let's see if these guards are really as unflinching as they say." He steps just past the boundary, raising his camera to get a tighter shot. The guard in his frame stands motionless, his face a mask of discipline. "Impressive," Eric comments, his tone teasing. A ripple of unease moves through the crowd as they notice Eric's brazen approach. Nearby, Maria, a seasoned photographer with a camera strapped across her chest, watches with disapproval. She steps closer, her voice calm but firm. "Hey, you might want to rethink that," she says, tapping Eric on the shoulder. He looks back, startled for a moment before smirking. "What's the big deal? It's just a photo." Maria shakes her head. "It's not just a photo. These guards are trained soldiers. Their job isn't to entertain us. I've seen people get warned and worse for getting too close." She gestures toward the signs Eric had ignored. "They're not joking. You're crossing a line, literally." Eric chuckles and waves her off. "Relax. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just making memories." Maria sighs, stepping back but keeping a watchful eye on him. Her instincts tell her this won't end well. Eric's focus shifts again. His attention is drawn to a mounted guard further down the line. The horse, towering and majestic, moves slightly, its rider adjusting the reins with precision. Eric grins. "Now that's the shot." He moves toward the mounted guard, ignoring the murmurs of disapproval from the crowd. Maria follows at a distance, her curiosity piqued despite herself. Eric sets up his camera, determined to capture the perfect frame. The horse, sensing his movement, shifts its weight, its ears flicking back. A nearby tourist leans toward Eric. "They'll yell at you, man. Don't get too close." Eric shrugs, whispering into his camera, "Some people are just scared of a little adventure." He edges even closer, his excitement overriding his caution. The guard on horseback adjusts his posture, his grip on the reins firm. Eric notices the subtle shift but dismisses it. He is now closer than anyone else, his camera lens almost level with the horse's flank. The crowd holds its breath, sensing the tension rise. Maria, watching from a few steps away, mutters under her breath, "This is not going to end well." Eric adjusts his camera, his lens focused tightly on the imposing horse and the guard astride it. The crowd murmurs softly behind him, their apprehension growing as they watch him push the boundaries. Eric takes one step closer, his attention locked on framing the perfect shot. Then it happens. As he shifts his footing for balance, his shoe catches on the uneven pavement. He stumbles forward, his momentum carrying him closer than he ever intended. His foot makes contact with the heavy boot of a nearby standing guard. The sound is unmistakable, a sharp thud that reverberates through the square. For a moment, everything seems to freeze. The crowd collectively inhales, their gasps cutting through the silence like a ripple on still water. Eric's eyes widen in horror as he realizes what just occurred. He quickly steps back, hands raised, muttering, "It was an accident, I swear." The guard, bound by unwavering discipline, snaps into action. The sound of his boots crashing together as he comes to full attention startles everyone. His rifle, equipped with a gleaming bayonet, comes down with precision, the tip aimed directly at Eric. His voice rings out, commanding and sharp, "Stand back from the King's Guard." The square erupts in chaos. Tourists scatter instinctively, some rushing to pull their children away. Cameras flash, and a few bystanders grab their phones to record the unfolding drama. Eric is frozen in place, unsure whether to move or stay still. The weight of the moment presses on him. The tension mounts further when the mounted guard nearby takes notice. With practiced precision, he steers his horse toward Eric. The animal's hooves strike the ground with authority, the sound echoing like distant thunder. The horse neighs loudly, its breath visible in the cool air, and rears slightly, its rider expertly maintaining control. Eric steps back, his hands trembling as he tries to explain, "I didn't mean to. It was an accident." His voice is drowned out by the commotion. The mounted guard's imposing figure towers over him, adding to the overwhelming pressure of the moment. The crowd's attention shifts again as the unexpected becomes even more extraordinary. Unbeknownst to Eric, a nearby tourist had captured the entire scene on video. The recording, including the stumble, the kick, and the guard's dramatic reaction, is already making its way onto social media. A few onlookers can't resist typing captions, "Tourist kicks Royal Guard, chaos ensues." Eric's accidental act has set off a chain reaction. The tourists around him murmur in hushed tones, debating his intentions and whispering about what might happen next. Some are visibly shaken, others amused. Eric, meanwhile, feels the weight of the guard's gaze and the imposing presence of the horse. He is keenly aware that he's no longer just a curious tourist, he's now the center of attention in an escalating spectacle. Eric barely has time to catch his breath before two palace security officers approach him with stern expressions. One gestures for him to step aside, away from the crowd. Eric complies, his hands raised slightly in a gesture of innocence. "It was an accident," he says quickly, his voice cracking under the weight of the situation. The officer's tone is firm but controlled. "Sir, you're being detained for questioning. Follow us." Eric's stomach churns as he's escorted to a discreet area near the palace gates, away from the prying eyes of tourists. The guard who had issued the warning remains in place, his expression unreadable, but the weight of his presence lingers. As the officers begin their questions, Eric stumbles over his words. "I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I tripped. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kick the guard." One of the officers narrows his eyes, clearly skeptical. "This isn't the first time we've dealt with stunts like this," he says. "We've had pranksters pull similar moves for attention." Eric shakes his head vehemently. "No, I swear. This wasn't for attention. It was an accident." The tension is palpable and Eric's nerves are fraying when a familiar voice breaks through the atmosphere. "Wait, I saw what happened." Maria steps forward from the crowd, her camera slung across her shoulder. "He's telling the truth. He tripped. It wasn't intentional." The officers exchange glances, their skepticism softening slightly. Maria continues, her voice steady. "Look, I've been photographing here all day. I've seen pranksters before. This guy isn't one of them. He just got too close. Eric looks at Maria, his gratitude clear in his expression. For the first time since the ordeal began, he feels a flicker of hope. The officers nod, acknowledging Maria's input, but their decision is clear. We'll review the footage, but you're still responsible for following the rules, one officer says. Eric nods quickly. Understood. As the confrontation subsides, another storm brews beyond their immediate surroundings. Unbeknownst to Eric, the video of his stumble and the guard's dramatic reaction has taken the internet by storm. Within minutes, it's shared across platforms with sensational headlines: "Tourist kicks Royal Guard chaos at Buckingham Palace," and "Disrespectful tourist sparks Royal Security alert." The video spreads like wildfire, with reactions ranging from outrage to humor. Some viewers condemn Eric's actions, calling for strict penalties, while others see it as an innocent mishap blown out of proportion. The polarized reactions fuel more shares and comments, turning the incident into a trending topic worldwide. Eric's phone buzzes incessantly. At first he doesn't notice, too preoccupied with the aftermath of the confrontation. But as he checks his notifications, his heart sinks. Texts from friends and family flood in. "What were you thinking? You're all over the news. Are you okay?" His social media accounts are bombarded with tags, comments, and direct messages, some mocking, others furious. The media circus around the palace intensifies. Reporters, eager for a story, begin circling the gates, interviewing witnesses and speculating about Eric's motives. The incident, though trivial in its origin, has spiraled into a public spectacle. Eric can feel the pressure mounting, and Maria, now his unlikely ally, steps in to offer support. "They'll forget about this in a few days," she says, trying to reassure him. But even she seems unsure. Eric sighs, running a hand through his hair. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted a picture." As the commotion around the palace grows, Eric realizes that the situation has spiraled beyond his control. The confrontation may be over, but the fallout is just beginning. Eric sits on a bench near the palace gates, his nerves still on edge. Security officers, now calmer, review the footage from multiple cameras around the square. The screen shows everything: the stumble, the accidental kick, and Eric's panicked retreat. The lead officer glances at Eric, his stern expression softening slightly. "It looks like you're telling the truth. It was an accident." Eric exhales in relief, but the officer's tone sharpens again. "However, rules are rules. Getting that close is a breach of protocol. If this happens again, you'll be facing legal action." "Understood." Eric nods vigorously. "Yes, absolutely. I promise it won't." Before he can leave, one of the guards steps forward. He's older, his uniform pristine, his demeanor calm but commanding. The crowd watches in silence, sensing the unusual break in protocol. The guard fixes his gaze on Eric and speaks in a low, firm voice, loud enough for only Eric and those nearby to hear. "You may think this was harmless, but we're not here for your entertainment," the guard says. His words carry the weight of years of discipline and duty. "Our role is to protect. One mistake from a tourist can put everyone in danger, yourself included." Eric swallows hard, nodding. "I understand. I didn't mean to cause trouble." The guard's expression softens slightly, but his tone remains firm. "Respect the boundaries. That's all we ask." With that, he returns to his position, his movements precise and deliberate, leaving Eric to reflect on the gravity of his actions. As Eric begins to leave, an unexpected commotion catches his attention. A young child, no older than 5, has broken away from her mother and is running toward the mounted guard. The horse shifts uneasily, sensing the sudden movement. The crowd gasps as the child reaches out to touch the animal's leg. Without thinking, Eric sprints toward the child. "Stop," he shouts, reaching her just in time to pull her back. The horse neighs loudly, its rider expertly calming it with a firm tug of the reins. The mother rushes forward, her face pale with fear. "Thank you," she says breathlessly, scooping her daughter into her arms. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't." She stops, unable to finish the sentence. The crowd murmurs, some applauding Eric's quick action. Maria, who had been watching from a distance, lowers her camera and gives him a small nod of approval. The earlier tension in the air seems to dissipate, replaced by a renewed sense of caution among the onlookers. Eric glances back at the mounted guard, who acknowledges him with a subtle nod. It's a silent moment of mutual understanding, a recognition that Eric, despite his earlier mistake, had acted selflessly when it mattered most. The incident leaves Eric shaken but reflective. As he walks away from the square, the earlier chaos feels like a distant memory. Yet the lesson lingers. Respect for boundaries isn't just a rule, it's a safeguard for everyone involved. Eric returns to his hotel that evening, drained from the day's events. His phone continues to buzz with notifications, messages from friends, viral memes, and an overwhelming mix of criticism and support online. Sitting by the window, he scrolls through the flood of comments under the video that now defines him. While some mock him for the incident, others defend him, pointing out his quick actions to save the child. He sighs, realizing the moment is out of his control. But instead of retreating, an idea begins to form. Eric sets up his camera and hits record. This time, there's no backdrop of tourist attractions, no exaggerated commentary for entertainment. His tone is genuine, his words deliberate. "I made a mistake," he begins. "I crossed a boundary I shouldn't have. The guards and their horses aren't here for our amusement, they're here to protect. What happened today was an accident, but it taught me something important. Respect matters, especially in places like this, where tradition and duty run deep." He goes on to explain the protocols he had ignored and the guards' critical role in safeguarding the monarchy. He recounts his interaction with the veteran guard, sharing the gravity of his words. Eric emphasizes how quickly things could have escalated, not just for him, but for everyone present. The video is uploaded with the title, "What I Learned After Kicking a Royal Guard, a Cautionary Tale." Within hours, it gains traction. Comments shift from ridicule to admiration for his humility and the way he turned a viral moment into a teachable experience. People commend him for addressing the issue and using his platform to promote awareness. Meanwhile, Maria watches the video and smiles. She sends Eric a message, "Good job turning things around. I knew you weren't just another reckless tourist." The next day, the two meet at a coffee shop near Trafalgar Square. Over steaming cups, they talk about the incident and the unexpected attention it brought. "You handled it well," Maria says, her tone sincere. "Most people would have tried to hide or double down, but you owned up to it." Eric chuckles. "Honestly, I didn't have much of a choice, but I figured if people are going to talk about it, they might as well learn something." As their conversation continues, Maria shares stories of her travels and the cultural misunderstanding she's witnessed. Eric listens, intrigued. He says thoughtfully, "We should do something with this. A project, maybe a travel series about respecting cultures and landmarks." Maria raises an eyebrow, intrigued. "You mean turn this fiasco into something productive?" "Why not?" Eric replies, a hint of excitement in his voice. "If I can mess up this badly and still learn something, maybe others can too." Maria grins. "All right, I'm in. But only if you promise no more boundary pushing." Eric laughs. "Deal." The two leave the coffee shop, brainstorming ideas for their new venture. What began as a viral blunder is now evolving into something meaningful, a project that could inspire others to travel responsibly and respect the places they visit. Eric sits at his desk, the soft hum of his laptop filling the quiet room. He's editing the final touches of his heartfelt video, which has already started trending across platforms. Clips of the incident, the guard's reaction, and Eric's own emotional reflection weave together to create a story that's honest and transformative. As he watches the playback, he pauses the video and leans back in his chair. The events of the past few days replay in his mind: the stumble, the guard's sharp command, the overwhelming pressure of going viral, and the turning point when he saved the child. Each moment feels like a lesson carved into memory. He begins narrating for his vlog, this time with a tone far more introspective than his usual upbeat demeanor. What happened at Buckingham Palace was embarrassing, there's no sugarcoating that, he admits. But it was also a wake-up call. I realized how often we as travelers take these moments for granted. We forget the history, the traditions, and the people who make these places what they are. Respect isn't optional, it's essential. Eric continues, reflecting on how the veteran guard's words stayed with him. His message was clear: boundaries exist for a reason, and it's up to us to honor them, whether we're in our hometown or halfway across the world. The video transitions into a teaser for Eric's next project with Maria. Shots of famous landmarks flash across the screen: ancient ruins, bustling marketplaces, serene temples, all accompanied by a voiceover. Join me and Maria as we explore the world's most iconic sites, diving into their stories and learning the right ways to appreciate their beauty. The teaser ends with a single sentence: "Adventure isn't about crossing boundaries, it's about understanding them." Eric uploads the video and leans back, satisfied. Within hours, the response is overwhelming. Viewers commend him for his honesty, praising his ability to turn a public blunder into a meaningful lesson. Some share their own stories of travel mishaps, while others express excitement for his upcoming project with Maria. As the day winds down, Eric steps out onto the balcony of his hotel room, overlooking the glowing lights of the city. The air feels lighter now, as if a burden has been lifted. He smiles, not because everything has been resolved, but because he knows he's grown from the experience. He picks up his camera and records a final clip for his followers. "This journey has taught me that mistakes don't define us, it's what we do after that counts. I hope you'll stick around for what's next, because the best stories always have unexpected turns. And trust me, there's a lot more to come." If this story entertained you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping tales that you won't want to miss.